Hello and welcome back to Rage Gaming, and welcome to the Season 3 talk by me, Hollow. When I look at my peers in this community, you know, other YouTubers, creators and so on, there's been a lot of I don't really like Season 3 talks. The kind of vibe of these videos has been so interesting to me. Some people are just frustrated, some are angry, a lot are just kind of depressed and downtrodden, and I think that's completely understandable. For me, I think it's better to just kind of laugh in these situations because it is funny that we've managed to find ourselves in this situation. The massive step forward that Season 2 was, and this sort of walking backwards that Season 3 is. It's like it's been under-tested or not thought out. To me, there are many issues that I've been talking about over this week of playing the game that truly feel like if you just played the game, you wouldn't have designed it like this. Or at very least, you would have gone, hang on, this is a major flaw with the vault system, for example. It's genuinely just confusing, and that's also why I find it funny. If it wasn't for the patch that happened over last night while I was asleep, this video would end up being quite a lot more negative than it's gonna be. Because this patch last night made these major changes based on the feedback the community's been kind of ramming down their throat. We've seen these devs hear our complaints, our feedback through the betas, through preseason, and just kind of ignore it. It felt very much like they were looking down on us, like, you don't know what you want. And then the player base largely left with the preseason into Season 1 crazy nerfing of fun they did, and since then they've been reeling and trying to, improve things. Season 2 was the saving grace for the game. It was this massive improvement that the game desperately needed. They needed to get the player base back in and on side and, have any faith and hope for the game long term. Season 1 gave us the complete opposite. It kind of told us they have no idea what they're doing. Going into Season 2, I just wasn't that excited. I did not have any faith, and I was really surprised by the many systems they introduced, whether that was the awesome vampiric powers, whether that was the target unique bosses, the proper endgame curve, the massive changes to leveling XP, major changes that I didn't think they'd be capable of doing. It changed my opinion of what these devs are trying to do and what we can kind of expect from them in the future. So my worry for Season 3, again, wasn't that it was going to be bad. It was that it wasn't going to be as big of a leap forward that Season 2 was, and more like, a few steps forward maybe. What I wasn't expecting for Season 3 was walking backwards. Things that, I thought they'd learned, they're repeating the exact same mistakes. To give a clear example of what I'm talking about, we look at Uber Uniques, really powerful items that they initially wanted to be ultra rare so that essentially no one has them and it's a special event when someone gets it. For Season 1, it just was something that was a pain point. There was an idea, feedback, change, more feedback, more change, because they put Uber Uniques in the game for everyone to maybe be able to get with dual farming, and then they made them more likely to drop because it still wasn't enough. This to me is a clear showcase of how they had an idea, they acknowledged that it just doesn't work and it could be better, it could be more fun, and they made various changes to facilitate that. They learned their lesson, they made good changes, and yet we're walking backwards. The unique stones that are for your new Construct companion that's only going to be around for a couple months before it's gone forever, they made those unique stones ridiculously rare and acknowledged that in the patch. I almost feel like it was a bad idea for them to have acknowledged the numbers. As it turns out, you had a 0.25% chance of getting one of these new unique stones every time you kill Malphas, the Echo version in Torment. We are talking about numbers that essentially mean either you're going to farm the hell out of that guy, or basically you can say, those items don't exist for me. They're not in the game. And further than that, the wording that they said when they said, okay, we put a 3% drop chance on the chest after you kill the boss, it sounds like there was a 0% chance of you getting those unique stones in the chest after you defeat Malphas, because surely that's where it's chopped from. It's completely illogical, but not only that, it's going backwards on this back and forth we've had about Uber Uniques and drop rates. And it's worse for these Construct stones because they're temporary and Uber Uniques aren't. This is why I find it absolutely hilarious, because it's just deranged. It's who thought of this? Did anyone talk to anyone about this? Has anyone tested this? So let's walk it back a bit and look at that patch. Within that sort of first week of Season 2 launching, they've already greatly improved the odds at which you're going to get those unique stones. There wasn't like an ongoing back and forth this time. It was, this is wrong, they want something else, will fix it. That's a good thing, but it still doesn't change the fact that they made the same mistake again. Let's talk about vaults as a whole. A new dungeon system with traps and new layouts and new enemies, new mechanics. You know, basically, we're taking the nightmare dungeons and we're making them more interesting. Instead of that, what we got was this underbaked idea. Spend pearls, get stacks, spend stacks to open the chests. A gamble system. Pretty cool. You can't get the new unique stones in these vaults. You have to go to the Uber Vault, which costs the same resource. Inside this special Uber Vault is more chests, bigger rewards, and the potential to get the unique stones that you can't get anywhere else. And again, it costs the same currency. So your option is go in door A and get like okay rewards, or go in door B and get much better rewards for the same price. This is something that you would do in the game once to go, hang on a minute, this doesn't make any sense. And it makes me wonder, did anyone ever play this? They must have. There's no way they didn't test it. And yet here we are. There's all kinds of problems with the vaults outside of that really glaring problem. Like say the final room where you have to kill all those enemies that spawn in at the end. Pretty cool, except it rewards you with no XP. There's so much VFX you can't see anything. You're gonna absolutely drain stacks of warding when you start to do higher tiers of vaults and there's actual difficulty. In the patch, they've changed this to actually reward a chest when you defeat these difficult rooms, which is like something, but I have no idea why they don't reward XP. So they did this patch, right? And they made it so that now pearls reward way more wardings. This gives you more to play with. You can go through faster. You can play more recklessly. You have a bigger buffer for that final kind of BS room where it's hard not to lose any. If you're like me, a fool playing Necromancer who doesn't have like rogue dashes or Barbarian jumps and charges, or say just the sorcerer teleport to bypass the harder stuff, you're walking through at slow walking speed like a clown. It definitely feels like some classes are having a lot more fun in vaults than others, I'll say that much. Then we look at the Construct Companion. The stones are crazy, you know, there's tons of abilities and support stuff, different combinations, there's loads of them, and you're going to need to get a duplicate of them to level them up. That's much better than say with the Potent Blood system where you RNG find 3 choices, you pick the best one there. Because there's so many and there's so much XP required to level these up, it's taking a long time. The highest level I had before that patch the other night, I think was either 4 or 5. After that patch, they've made the XP gain so much faster and it feels like they're dropping more often. At very least there's more sources, like those new chests in the final room in a vault. They acknowledge that they're leveling way too slow and so the construct's feeling weak because they plan for the construct to be strong once you get everything to level 10, but for some reason they made it take ages to get to that point. So they've walked that back, now the XP's way better, that's great. It's unfortunate that many of the abilities of the construct are basically duds, and the AI is so bad on the Construct Companion, but I knew it was going to be this way. I really thought that in Season 3, they were going to maybe rework how Companion AI works. So say Necromancer minions, the whole idea of a Necromancer having skeletons and undead and horrible fleshy constructs that you control. Problem is, you have no control over them. So as I play my minion Necromancer, it doesn't matter how strong my minions are. If there's a shield dude making it so all the other enemies are taking no damage, and I can't tell my minions to kill that dude specifically, it's just bad. It's frustrating. This happens a lot. Maybe it's a suppressor. That can be worse. And so when they talked about this Season 3 Construct Companion, I was like, oh, this is their clever way to take the time to sort minions, to sort companions. We're going to be able to control this construct, and so because of that, we'll also be able to control our minions. This is going to be great. They didn't do either of those things. That auto defense ability that blocks projectiles, which is quite useful against the traps, is such a funny example of this. It activates this big blue barrier and then it chases after you while you move through the dungeon. It never catches up to you. The barrier ends. What was the point of the barrier if it's just behind me, not next to me, doing what it's supposed to do? That's going to take more fixing than, say, just increasing how long the barrier lasts or whatever. I want to highlight the Echo of Malphas, which is quite funny too. They made him level 85 instead of level 100 originally. It meant that he was a pushover, and also his loot was terrible. Unironically, you get about 1 item from it, so it wasn't even worth killing him. It was just for the chest behind him, which apparently, seemingly, didn't even drop the unique stones. Thankfully, they've really resolved this. They buffed Malphas to level 100 and gave him about 30% more health. That's nice, but it's not going to matter long term because Duriel is getting one shot and, so is Malphas in a matter of time. Still, at least it's a more interesting fight for longer and the mechanics are fun. They made it so there's a new currency, right, that opens the Vault of the Loom in Torment mode. The only issue is they made it go into our really annoyingly small sigil tab that already has a bunch of other stuff in there. Now we have Nightmare Dungeon sigils, now we have Vault sigils, now we have elixirs, and this new currency in there too. When we have a literal infinite storage system for currency. Why is the new currency not in the currency thing? But yeah, they gave Malphas some updates. He's got better drops now, more items and legendaries for killing him. You got that better chance of maybe getting the unique stones, and they actually drop in the chests. So credit to them for resolving this quick. And yeah, it's honestly a lot better. I don't know how it even existed like that initially. I do think this panic patch we just had was really good and it came really quick for the season. It's a clear indication that player outcry will now result in fast reactions and leaning into what's being called for because they know if they ignore it, it's definitely going to be bad. It's just also a clear indication that something's wrong with their development process. Why does there have to be so much outcry before we get a functional update to what should never have been the way it was? But yeah, with the way this has all gone, it really feels like we can expect seasons made by the team who made season 1 and now 3 to basically be these beta test messes. And then the seasons made by the team who made season 2 and hopefully 4, maybe they'll be worth playing right away. So this brings me to the conclusion of this little discussion video, which is Diablo 4 is a funny game made by funny people. But on the bright side, the last Epoch is fully releasing in a matter of weeks, and then we've got Path of Exile 2 later down the line to further give them real competition, and maybe that'll encourage them to get it together. Let me know what you think though. Are you enjoying the new update? Do you think season 4 is going to be noticeably better with a different team? For now then, I've been Hollow, you've been you. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.